So this video is not a weird flex to promote my books, although there will be some weird flexes promoting my books inside the video. But the topic, doing your research, doing your own research, doing your extra research, doing your individual research is extremely important in this day and age and extremely important in this window we're in right now, preparing for an election in the United States and maybe around the world, wherever you are. We have a bit of a global audience. I'm not going to fully brag on that, but other places elect their leaders in other ways. So they have the same issues. In fact, they have the same issues we have, specifically as we, as the world's largest experiment of democracy, are seeing that experiment being poked at by many people who are trying to take over and just rule with iron fists, if you will. Now, weird facts about my business or my books come up with this one. In the last year, literally 12 months, I've written and published 4 books. This one, Simple Tips for Business Success. This one, Mastering Your Money. And this one, These Will Get You the Job, were done last year. And then one part of the Big Words Project, which I talk about in the Conversation Project, is this one right here. And this is Big Words You Ought to Know, Volume 1. Now, it's a little less important in that book there, but extremely important in the other 3. That book, of course, there must have been research because I didn't just make up words on my own. I had to go find lots and lots of words, find the definitions of them, and then go find out ways to use those words in a sentence. For the other 3 books, they were specifically on topics. This Will Get You the Job. I had to research various ways that you can use your skills to be important to your employer, and also research various ways that employers use those skills to basically get back at you, essentially use your good points against you. This one right here took a lot of research, Master Your Money, because money is an issue I've always had. I've never been great with money. And right now, if you're following the dark tales behind the scenes of the Conversation Project and Jacob and Payne, money is an issue. Money is a big issue, which is why I'm asking for it a lot in various places. If you don't ask, you don't get. But Master Your Money meant going through a lot of old books, a lot of old courses, a lot of videos I've watched in the past, and basically looking at the things that always made sense. Some of the things I did and couldn't do, can continue doing. Some things I didn't do because I didn't really figure out how to do it or how important they were, and learning what was more important and putting them into a simple, easy book that even I can follow, something I can even do. And the one that I'm really most proud of, Simple Tips for Business Success, because this is something that I've been doing for a long time. I've been following business works for a long time, since high school, essentially, and trying to work on how to be good at leadership, which essentially is good at business as a way. And the tips I got from that were literally all research over a span of time when I was doing the podcast, or still doing the podcast for 2 Minute Business Wisdom. The other podcast kind of floundered out. I wanted to bring it back, but time's been an issue. These were tips that I was researching and doing in the weekly podcast to give to people as a way to learn things. It's free because it's a podcast. It's just somewhat simple advice. But if you've never heard it before, it's profound. If you've never seen it in practice before, it's just magical. So simple tips, because they're simple tips they're simple because you can implement them easily. But if you've never had that thought process, nobody put that in your head before, you would not know what it is. Just like the fish doesn't know he's in water. It's just a fish, how things work out. Those 3 books in particular, and the book on vocabulary words as well, took a lot of effort, took a lot of research. Had to read a lot of things, had to watch a lot of things, had to listen to things, had to go through my mind and process those things. Had to see if the things made sense, see if they did make sense, see if it was faux quackery or real quackery, see if it was faux genius or real genius. See if it was simple or not simple. See if it was way too complicated to put into the book. See if it was so important that all the steps had to be broken down so we got into those things. That's how I got to those books. What does that have to do with an election? If you're still watching, here it is. You will hear, you have heard, and you'll continue to hear for quite some times, I do my own research. I like to have my own independent research. I don't trust the media. I don't trust this source. They're always lying to me. So I do my own research. Here's the problem. COVID-19 happened. We got various things from various doctors. People said, I don't trust Dr. Fauci. So I'm going to do my own research. And it's not like they went and got a beaker and poured in some virus and poured in some bleach to see if the bleach would kill it. That was literally just made up stuff on top of his head. It was, I'm going to go to Twitter and search for virus anti-vaxxing and see what the other guys say. And I'm going to pretty much believe whatever it is they are telling me. That's what it is. That's doing your own research. Doing your research means looking for videos of the people who are saying things and not vetting them as proper sources. Now, you can do that to me to anything I say, period, because I'm just a guy on the internet and doing whatever. I give you as many sources as I can. When we do our news stories, we tell you they come from various sources. We give you links to the sources. We give you ways to see who it's coming from. And I'm often called out by the headlines I throw out there and the links I use for the sources because people don't like them, especially when I use a Daily Caller. No one likes anything I put from Daily Caller, but the headlines I get may be a bit inflammatory. The stories with a bent on them, with a slant on them, are always real. I've never been punked by a story from Daily Caller. There have been other relatively new sources, CNN, looking at you, who put out things that had to be replaced within hours because they had the wrong details into it. But doing your own research does not mean just looking for another video that says the opposite of what you don't want to believe. Doing your own research means actually researching, starting with books. Go look at books. Go find books. Go read some books. Note the context, the timing the person writing the book has, because everything has a bent, has some sort of ideal onto it that is coming out there. So don't think that it's all pure and natural. It isn't. All the videos out there, they're not all pure and natural. None of them are. Even the ones that are from sources that you truly believe, they are trying to push the agenda, even though they are right, that you should listen to them and not someone else, that you should stop doing more research, that we have the answers. And sometimes they don't have all the answers, but they have enough to get things started, get things going. Sometimes it is that way. Sometimes it bees like that, if you will. So, do your research is an important thing to do. It's important to do your research to see what the other side is saying. Number one, what people unlike you are saying about things, and what people like you who have a slightly different bent going on are actually saying. So you see what the common things are and the uncommon things are. We're not even at right or wrong yet. This is what are people in general or groups saying. People in groups that aren't like you, people that think a different way, people that live a certain way, people that work a certain way in certain situations that aren't yours. So you're not privy to how they think, how they feel, how they do stuff. Do your own research is good because you need to see what other people are doing. Then you need to listen to what they're saying. Listen to the words. Listen to the emotions, if you can listen to emotions, to kind of feel what's going on. Take in what's going on, what they're actually saying, and what they're actually saying. The deeper part of doing your own research is always the context. Back in the day of Ben Franklin always had a very successful newspaper. He's a successful newspaper man. But it doesn't mean everything in his paper was flat out truth. In fact, a whole lot of sensationalism and lies went into him and his rival papers because the point was to sell a paper. So you get all the basic facts in the paper back when people bought papers, but you get those basic facts by getting people to buy your paper with the most salacious things, more salacious than the other guy. That way they'll buy your paper than them. Remember, I told you everyone trying to sell your information, sell you on them as the authority, is trying to sell you on them as the authority, as well as sell you what they're saying. So, whether they're right or wrong, you have to believe that what they're saying is right. So you keep buying from them. This is why I, hate folks like Alex Jones. So people who listen to, in some ways, listen to him for the entertainment version is one thing, but there's way too many people who believe that Sandy Hook it was a bunch of crisis actors because he said so. And now that he's being sued and he's fighting that suit, they're down with him. We can go on and on about the former presidents. We can go on and on about the current president and what they're saying, how they're saying things that aren't exactly the truth, or let's say aren't exactly the full truth, if you will, because they're politicians, going forward for things like that. Do your own research is important. I want you to do your own research. If you don't believe something someone says, go look up a couple articles and see a couple of articles, a couple of sources, see where things intermix and go back and forth, because no one gets it perfect. No one gets it exactly the same. A news story, any random news story we have here that we pull on for the Conversation Project has various different ways you can write them, and of course, various different bents you can give them, conservative to liberal, and all those things like that. So they're not all exactly the same, unless you're pulling something from the wire and just copy pasting, which it can happen. But even they will give you different headlines in the actual source. But it's important to do your own research. If you see a story that we put out there and you don't quite understand it, don't quite like it, think it might be a little bit fake, go search on the internet and see what other sources are saying about it. See what's going on. See where we got it from and see what's going on. Maybe you just don't like the source it is. Maybe you are a Newsmax fan and don't like things from MSNBC. Maybe you are a CNN fan and do not like things from OAN. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's just how it goes. That's legal. That's fair. That's great. Do your own research means looking to other sources, listening to what other people have to say, processing it properly, and then, of course, taking your own decision on it. Now, you also have the right to be wrong, but you don't have the right to be wrong that's going to hurt me. So I would say, in the level of climate change, climate is changing. There are things happening. You may not believe that we are driving cars to make that happen, but climate change in some way is happening either by cosmic rays or us on its own. When we talk about the vaccine, there's so many things that go on along with that, what it is. But I got vaccinated all the times before. I did not get an update just because I didn't get an update. I didn't expect to get any sort of side effects. Just didn't get one in time was going around. And we will see if that will be a boost or a boon going forward. For the coverage of your favorite candidate, whether it's currently the presidential running of Joe Biden, presidential running of Donald Trump, the top independent running of JFK Jr., RFK Jr., I keep doing that, RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. It makes a lot to go on how things are working on. So if you were following a certain candidate, you're going to see things from a certain way. And when other people are presenting things, you're going to hear things presented in a certain way. And some things that will be presented will not be great for your worldview. It is the case. But some things to be presented, the biggest, the very biggest thing I've learned in this election cycle and in dealing and talking with people literally right now has been the other side are not, they're not stupid. They're not evil. They're not wrong. They're not just terrible. They're seeing things from a different perspective. And from their perspective makes a difference. Their hopes and fears are not exactly the same as your hopes and fears, even if they are. They want a better America. They just think that better America looks more like what they live in as opposed to what you live in. And sometimes they think you and your life is encroaching on their life. And so they don't want that to happen. They would rather to push you back and let you know that you're doing the wrong thing than to take a couple steps back and give you some space. If we all gave each other space, we'd be fine. But that's not how it works. It just isn't. So when you're dealing with someone who doesn't like your point of view, I, as a black person, now technically in his 50s by a few months, and who tends to vote and lean in my thought processes right of center, so I'm slightly conservative, am who I am. But I'm a unique person who I am, and because I deal with a platform called the Conversation Project, which allows us to talk about all sorts of things. Some things I'm not so fond of, some things I really love to talk about. And we intentionally drop in the things that are the third rail hot button things just to see how things happen. You've got to get other perspectives. You can't just say, this is right, you are wrong, deal with it. Yes, the sky is blue, but the sky is blue not because it's actually blue. It's a reflection of the light of the water, blah, 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 blah. Things like that. Things are always more complicated than they seem. And things always have a sort of vision the way people may or may not have intended it. So let's do that. You are free to do all the research you want to, but at some point in time, you got to make a decision that what's going to happen. And sometimes that decision is made for you and you just have to kind of go along with it. When the vote comes, there will be a winner. There will be a non-winner. The non-winner needs to concede that the winner won, and we move on. That's it. That's a video. Do your research. Please do your research. And if you want to support the Conversation Project, you can support it by helping us out with our book drive, really a part More Better Media, the larger station. Search for J. Cleveland Payne on Amazon, because we're all using Amazon, or search for it in your bookseller, because it's in other booksellers as well. I have this book, which is Simple Tips for Business Success. Part of my coaching platform, my business consulting platform, is helping people figure out how to do stuff. And there's some very simple tips, all coming from the 2 Minute Business Wisdom podcast. Find out where you get your pods as well. This one, master your money. If you are bad with money and need the right person to tell you how to get better with it, I might be that person. Chances are, if you're bad with money, you've read 5 or 6 books already and hadn't got it figured out yet. This one is essentially some research and some of the better and some of the not so well known thought processes on money stuff. Because sometimes people keep saying the same things over and over again, and so they get kind of broken record. So when something says something that's real interrupt, I've got a few in there as well. And if you're looking to change your jobs or looking to reinforce where you are and try to force a raise where you are, These Will Get You the Job is an interesting book because in the book, there are 15 top qualities that you should focus on when you do your resumes, do your interviews, and a chapter at the end, a bonus chapter with all 15 of those qualities and broken down in those ways that they will use it to exploit you. So you show up with your loyalty and you're going to be the most loyal person there. And they're going to do things to make you question your loyalty because you're not going to just jump ship, but they're going to give you things that you don't want to do. Like, subscribe, share videos and podcasts and newsletters with other folks. We appreciate all the help. Make sure you stay limber and hydrated and on task for all the grand things that you are here on this earth to do, not just watching videos and reading our little cheesy hot takes, but being a great person in the world. Love you. Mean it. Do your own research. I want you to do your own research. I want you to call me on my research as well. Email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com and we can chat things up, or comment in the videos, comments, wherever you see them. Thank you guys. Continue on.